Alright, so the first group of interest tonight is Fae/Fairies, a species of anomalous creatures typically marked by an allergy to iron. Some have been killed and sent to exile, while others exist today in anomalous communities. Alright, so who wants to read the factory, where I think it was like first brought up about the Fae and Fairies originally?
I can read the factory.
Okay,
Is it a
yeah,
good idea to
because
read
I've
the
read it so
factory?
many times, that's why.
I'm sorry, I sounded way too excited about that. Can you link me?
Link you? Hold on, I can put in
Yeah.
chat. Alright, hold on.
Here, give me a sec. I'll link you.
I just did.
No,
Thank
give me
you.
a sec. I'll link them.
It's in voice chat.
No, I'll give me a sec. I'll link them.
SCP-001 is an O5's tale.
Oh,
Good
I
evening,
think.
Doctor.
Wait, Headshot, are you still doing something?
There, I linked them.
Oh, for
It's
fuck's
so
sake.
stupid. You have been linked.
Anyway, I'm gonna read this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, Doctor. No, don't stand up, and yes, I am who you think I am. Let's not make any more of this than it is. You know my number, and
Five
I
Guys
know
ruined
enough
me.
about you to make a duplicate that even your mother wouldn't be able to tell apart from the real you. No, that's not a threat, it's just a fact. Now, as my business here, it seems you have stumbled upon something above your clearance. Well, no, stumbled is not the right word. Dug up, perhaps. And you're getting to that point where further digging would end in some fairly lethal gunshot wounds. This would be a sad state of affairs, as you are otherwise quite a good researcher. Therefore, you are getting something very few people in the Foundation ever get an explanation. Yes, we were alerted when you first started digging into SCP-001. Every researcher who's been around for a while looks into it. Most are satisfied when they uncover the angel with the flaming sword buried under enough levels. But then you started looking into the factory. That's when I knew you wouldn't stop. So here it is, plain and simple. The factory is SCP-001, but it will never be written up. It's a choice I made early on the creation of the Foundation, and a choice I still stand by. You researchers are far too curious. I'm not sure which scares me worse, that we'll never understand the factory, or that one day we will. Well, I'm sure you're eager to learn more. The factory was built in 1835. Back then it was known as the Anderson Factory, named after James Anderson, a rather well-to-do industrialist. It was built in, well, we'll just say America, and was the largest factory yet designed, a good mile across at its widest, 3 stories throughout, and a special 7 story tower by the front gate that Anderson lived in. It was designed to be the ultimate factory, capable of taking care of everything, including the housing of workers. People could be born, work, live, die without ever leaving the confines of the factory. And work they did on everything from cattle raising and slaughtering, textiles, to everything else under the sun. Now, no one knows whether James Anderson was actually a Satan worshiper. It's just as likely that he followed some kind of pagan gods. What is known is that he was very exact on the building of his factory and in the pavement of his machinery within it. Survivors claim the floor was engraved with arcane symbols that were only visible when the blood flowed across them. But then survivors claimed a lot of things. What is known is that Anderson made his money on the blood and sweat and sometimes body parts of the lower class. His journals indicate that he thought of them as less than human, being put on Earth only to serve his will. Of course, at that time, no one knew about his pre predilections, and so people flocked to the factory. A place to both work and live at the same time? Well, of course people wanted in. Never mind the harsh hours, working conditions, sadistic security force, and all of the rest. Factory workers were forced to work 16-hour days, work only shutting down on Sundays between sunrise and sunset. Workers were only given individual rooms. Workers were not given individual rooms. Instead, sharing rooms with 8 other people, sleeping in shifts of 3. Medical attention was unheard of. If you were injured in the course of your duties, which most people were, you were expected to just keep working. Anyone too injured to work was dragged off by the security, never to be heard from again. For 40 years, Anderson Factory cranked out all sorts of things for people. Meat, clothes, weapons, never mind the beef might be mixed in with human. Don't care that the weapons were forged in blood. No attention need to be paid to the clothes that were dyed with, well, you get the idea. Rumors leaked out, but the products were so good, why bother? Until someone got out. I never met the brave soul who managed to escape, but she managed to meet with President Grant, and in 1875 he enlisted my aid. At the time I was, well, it doesn't matter. We'll say I was military, kind of. And that my people were the same. 150 good men and some women who were often given jobs that weren't supposed to be common knowledge. We'd been cleaning out some Confederate holdouts and some of the worst things we found down south. So we did some research, didn't like what we saw, and went in loaded for bear. I don't actually remember much about the night it all went down. Most of it blends together in my head. Get flashes sometimes. The people chained in line, living next to the dead, and damned hard to tell which was which. Children working underneath machines, the majority of the flesh scoured from their bones by the great wheels of the cogs, and other things. No, I'm all right. I haven't thought about it that night for a very long time. The security force wasn't much of a problem. But then Anderson's creations showed up. He'd been taking the injured workers and, well, experimenting on them. Men, if you could call them men, with multiple arms sewn together, some of them combined with animals. Horrible monstrosities out of mankind's worst nightmares. They kept coming, wave after wave of not quite living creatures. I lost a lot of good people that night. And then we found Anderson's breeding pits. Girls as young as 8, chained to the walls, forced to be nothing more than, I'm sorry, even today, more than a century later, the memory makes me see red. When we finally found Anderson cowering his office, we hung him from his tower window with his own entrails. As he died, he laughed, saying it didn't matter, we could kill him, but his factory, the factory would go on. He was still laughing 24 hours later when we finally cut him down, had him drawn and quartered, and then burned the remains. The entire time he uttered blasphemies that I don't like to think about. We spent a week cleaning that place out, freeing the workers, putting down the things we found in the basement and many lightless rooms. We pulled out the things that were useful, stocked them in a house near the gate, tried to make sense of everything. 150 of us went into the hell pit that night, and only 93 came out. By the end of the week, we were down to 71. But the things we found in there, my God. Well, you've been with the Foundation a while. They wouldn't seem as amazing to you. But we found toy guns that shot real bullets, a yo-yo that would flay the skin from anyone it touched, hammers that only worked on human flesh, a breed of skeletal horse that ran faster than anything we'd ever seen, cloaks that seemed woven from the night itself, and let men access a shadowy dimension that I get away from myself. Found tools, both wondrous and horrible, and we were faced with a choice. I gathered my highest ranking, well, we'll call them officers, to me, and we tried to figure out what we would do. They all had opinions. The chaplain, he had gone a little crazed, that all these objects must be miracles sent from God, holy relics to be worshipped. Marshall and his little toady Dawkins thought there were a fortune to be made there, making and selling these things to the highest bidder. The Injun we called Bass, due to his deep speaking voice. He called these things an abomination, and declared that we should hunt down and destroy everything that we could find. And Smith thought we should take this stuff back to the president. The only one without an opinion was the old man, but he never said much of anything anyways. We argued for hours, days, trying to work it out. I thought we were all sitting on a gold mine all right, that we could use these things, these objects, to hunt down some of the scary things that we'd run into down south. The only other monsters this world had to offer, and use this factory for good, as a place to contain these things, find a way to make them work for our fellow men, or at least protect our fellow men from having to deal with them. I'm sure you can figure out what happened. The chaplain snuck away in the night with his devotees, taking a couple of small items with him. Marshall we kicked out when we found him abusing his authority. He promised he'd get revenge, and that little Dawkins shit led the rest of their group off with some of the juicier items. Bass and his people tried to light the whole damn thing on fire, then just left when it didn't work. And Smith left to report back to the president. I did manage to get him to promise me that he'd tell Grant the factory had been destroyed. I had big plans for that place. And of course, it was kind of hard to follow through on big plans when you only have 12 other people to work with. But it was a start. And it worked for a while. We had these amazing toys, and finding people to work with us was easy. Back then, going off the grid was as simple as leaving town. We knew what we wanted. We knew what we could be. Leventhal set out gathering us backings. A simple invention here, some well-invested money there. It all worked out. White and Jones started getting us other backing. In our previous work, we'd found some interesting things about people. Some secrets that powerful men didn't want to get out. And with our new position helping keep secrets, we got more people asking us to deal with their secrets. Blackmail is a dirty world, but it works. Bright, Argent, and Lumnix got to work cataloging the items. Light and Bright's wife, the nurse, they made sure to keep Light and Bright's wife, the nurse, they made sure that we kept ourselves healthy. No, it's just remembering Light. She had such an unusual ideas about hygiene at the time. Brilliant woman. How do you say that?
You don't know.
Dog? Maybe?
I'm gonna look it up. It's Itchoff? Itchoff. Okay. Brilliant woman. Itchoff. Fletcher and Carniff dealt with training the troops. Tesla and Tamlin were in charge of figuring out how to take advantage of the items without making it obvious. We were amazing. The city we built around the factory, which we took to calling to Site Alpha, was self-supporting. Agents, researchers, operatives of all sorts, not by those names, of course. but those positions. We expanded. I'm sorry. I'm an old man. I know I do not look it, but the body lies. Mind doesn't always remember right, and sometimes I get lost in my memories. Things get confused. But the long and simple of it is this: we use the factory. It always seemed to have more empty rooms to store things in. Back then, that was the word for items, things. No skips then. No. We thought we had the factory tamed. That's one of the reasons I refuse to quit this job. If there's anything I can do here, it's remind people that we will never tame these things. Contain them, yes, but as we saw with Abel, tame them, never. And we and after a decade later or so, we were pretty organized. The 13 original of us being called by numbers, not names. We knew how to make things work. And if a thing or two vanished inside the factory still, and the occasional D class, what? Yes, we had D class back then, disposables. That's where the D comes from. Had to have someone test things on. Tesla and Tamlin were both very firm about that. But yes, sometimes we lost people who didn't matter. Adam, I'm sorry. Dr. Bright was fond of saying it was the factories taking its toll. You can't get something for nothing. 1911 was when it all went wrong. Things, we called them fairies, an entire race of things, living beside us. They could look at the same as you or I. The only obvious difference was an allergy to iron. Yes, that's why we called them fairies. No, you haven't heard of them. Why? Because it's the one time the Foundation wiped out an entire race of things, root and branch. And I'm the one who did it. We'd been hunting them for some time. We'd run into them time to time before, come out on top. So when a certain royal asked us for help, of course we were eager to get them out of our debt. We'd always loved having people in our debt. We sent a team to help out, take care of what we thought was a hunting party. The next time we saw him, their heads were on poles, attached to the saddles of the creatures the fairies once rode. When they attacked the factory, it was horrible. 3 words, but they convey so much, I swear. I have never. Sorry, please give me a moment. I have never told this part to anyone. You should consider yourself lucky. If you tell anyone any of what I'm about to tell impart upon you, I will not just kill you, but everyone who shares your DNA in the worst ways possible. You'll think Procedure 110 montage was a walk in the compared to what I'll do to you. We lost. The things came and they destroyed us, rode over our emplacement, slaughtered our people, shrugged off our weapons like they were nothing. I watched my 13 people go down, left and right, just trying to hold the factory. And I, their leader, their friend, their father figure, godfather to Bright's 4 young children, confident, sometimes lover, always the confessor, I ran. I ran like a scared little schoolboy, deep into the dark guts of the factory. I was chased by the things, always just one step ahead. I could hear them behind me, feel their breath upon my neck, and I came to a door I'd never seen before. A bronze door covered in Arabic script of some sort. I had never been one for languages, especially not the curvy bullshit the Muslim use. But I don't care. They were coming for me, and I threw the door open and dived through it. Everything inside different. There was a feeling of peace, and nothing could hurt me here. The light was this dark red, but still felt right. My ears were filled with the steady thrumming of a gigantic heartbeat, and in front of me, for the remains of Anderson. It spoke to me then, and I'll be damned if I could tell you exactly what it said. What it told me was more of a meaning than exact. It offered me hope. Told me it told me that each of the things we had used from the factory, no matter what we did with them, fed it, helped it grow. But if the fairies took the factory, they would destroy it. And we couldn't have that. It offered me a deal. I could remove this event. I could make it have never happened. All I needed to give it was us. I didn't want to. I knew this was a bad I knew it was a bad idea. But back then I saw them again, my family, my friends, dead. Dead by the hands of these bastards. I agreed, smiled. And I found myself once more upon those ramparts, watching the hordes of fairies crest the hill. My foundation alive once more. In my hands was a weapon. I won't bore you with the details, but we slaughtered them. And with these new weapons, continued to slaughter them, everywhere they lived, everywhere they bred. My fellow O5 questioned my decision, thinking we should save some in case we might ever need them. I overruled them. We moved away from the factory, shut it down, moved our things out of there. We changed the name from things to special containment protocols, focusing on containing them, not anything else. The others were curious, but understood I had my reasons. I boarded up the factory, locked it shut, buried it under tons of rubble, saying it was too dangerous. I thought I'd gotten away with it until I found a thing in my desk. One of the old toy guns that shot real bullets. And it had the factory label on it. I've sent people in from time to time to see what it might be doing. Last time I sent people to look, there was nothing there. We keep finding factory items out there. I can't help but to think of how many people how many more we don't find. The people who use them and keep it hidden. I think back at the body telling me how each item gave energy to the factory. I never asked it, energy for what? I don't think I want to know. What do we give it? D-class mostly. Where did you think all those bodies went? There's a place. Bodies are left, and they vanish. Everyone thinks I'm a genius for figuring it out. Sometimes I have to feed it other things. Researchers, agents. They never know it's coming. It just reaches out and takes them. But in the end, we're doing more good by being here. Whatever the factory wants, whatever it is, we're doing good here. I have to believe that. And now you know. Are you happy? I don't think so. Why tell you? I'm getting old, Everett. Should I die? Someone will have to keep feeding it. Maybe you'll be different. Maybe you'll figure out how to stand up to it. But I doubt it.
So yeah, from I remember in this story, the Fae were not evil. They were. Sorry, you were gonna say something?
They definitely changed bits of the story, but it's mostly the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
a part of me, a notable part of me, almost wants to go back and reclassify the Foundation after that. Because I don't think I had ever actually heard the whole factory story.
Yeah.
Well, originally the factory story, they had come from the people who took down the factory had come out from the factory and had rebelled against it, and the Fae had helped, but they also had to wipe out the Fae for turning on them next. So,
So it's
It
like,
was a bit altered, but it's not that
Well,
different.
we still have another two SCPs we can look at, book, before we decide.
also, so now that we have,
Mm-hmm.
now that we have the leeway to do this, book, you absolute mad lad. What the hell?
Right. Yeah, Jerry, when you're reading the factory's tale, Bookworm got to the final goal of the charity streams.
What?
Yeah, you start reading it, and then suddenly, Fire Red Emblem donated $100 to support the Immune Deficiency Foundation in chat,
Yeah.
followed by Book saying "Mwahaha."
And man, I was reading so you guys couldn't say jack shit.
I had to like stifle my response because I was about, I was, I was very shocked for a moment.
Yeah, Bookworm says, though, I don't know, lawful neutral, I think tracks for the Foundation. In this moment, they are treading towards evil.
Yeah, like I'm like being half facetious about altering the Foundation's rating
Yeah.
because like the reasons we put it there is because like we know that it does some absurdly evil shit, but simultaneously, they literally keep reality from collapsing in on itself.
Yeah. Also, it wasn't the first time the Foundation did genocide. Remember the emoji SCP?
Well, chronologically speaking, I think this is technically the first time the SCP Foundation did genocide.
But it won't be the
That's
last.
technically accurate.
At least in whichever timeline the factory exists in.
Yeah. Alright.
Plus, in this case, we're talking about a total genocide.
Yeah.
The complete wiping out of an entire people group, rather than a significant percentage of that.
Yeah, but I still believe in that tale, the Fae weren't entirely evil. I mean, they're probably being hunted.
Well, yeah, no, to be very clear, the Fae were not evil in that tale. There's no way to reframe it as them being evil.
Yeah.
I should say there's no way to reframe it as them being evil without attempting to justify a genocide.
Yeah, and the person who was talking about it said some really racist old man things very casually.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
yeah, the fucking what was it, muzzle men?
Yeah.
I know all the racist things he said, but I tried to.
Yeah, I figure you wanted to just go forward. Plus, like a lot of these older things are like really old racist terms, so it's like they have a little bit less
There's
weight.
actually at least one of these terms I've heard, but that's probably because I'm part Blackfoot.
Yeah.
And I had to read that casually too.
Oh, which term was that? I guess I just didn't pick up on it.
Engine.
I didn't actually
Yeah, that was
notice
sad.
that. I didn't actually notice that was said. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
No, I'm all right. I just like I hadn't noticed that had been said.
Yeah, I'm just gonna know there's gonna be one group of interest that's probably gonna be worse than that article when it comes to to the racist aspect because Lord Blackwood.
Ugh. Oh no. No. No.
Okay, so let's look at another SCP.
Anyway, let me just add on, at the very least, we've got fucking 051, making like truly upholding the American legacy by actually managing to completely wipe out an entire people group.
Alright, yeah.
He also said it was fucked up.
Okay, Bookworm, if I remember, I believe Lord Blackwood is basically an old British explorer in old British times that is
Yeah,
in a slug.
yeah, he's like a slug, but he's got the personality of like an OG quote unquote anthropologist that trapezed around the world, quote unquote discovering the new world, except it's in the context of jumping between SCPs
Yeah,
in different dimensions.
yeah, the first story I read about Lord Blackwood was the Bigfoot one, and he said the S slur a lot.
Oh no.
I don't
Oh,
think I
no.
want to know what that was.
I'm guessing it's the SAVA slur for natives.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, anyways, let's look at the next SCP.
Well, that's one thing I was never called.
That's a good thing.
Well, I was also called the things that mean savage. So.
Oh. Oh, apparently this Faye is a dog.
Aw, good boy.
That looks like a
Underground portion.
corgi.
Yeah, underground portion
is a-
of 2952 is not visible. Oh, it's not visible. Never mind.
But yeah, modern day racists typically don't bluntly say things like the S word. They
Oh, wait.
just say
What?
things that mean it.
Wait, holy shit! Okay, that is the SCP. I'll read this one. Discussion. SCP-2952 is a male Pembroke Welsh Corgi measuring over 30,000 kilometers in length.
What? You can't tell me that and then show me a picture of just a standard corgi.
I will admit,
Big.
we can't see the back of it. We can't see where it ends. It just vanishes. And
Yeah, this is funny as shit. Big doggos.
Also big grade and big grass.
Alright, let's continue on. Alright, the head and front legs of 2942 are located in Portland, Oregon, USA, while the hindquarters are located in a rural area of Japan's Kariwa district, weaving through the Americas, Europe, and much of Asia in between. What?
Wait. Oh my god. Okay, so it's not a supersized doggo. They're literally just long. It is a long dog.
yeah.
What the what?
But it gets weirder. It gets weirder. I promise, it gets weirder. Keep going.
They put this as Euclid at one point. Okay, let's go. I want to hear more about Long Doggo.
2952 does not appear to age, nor does it require food or water. 2952 will not move more than 5 meters from its original position, even if threatened or offered a reward. 2952 will quickly regenerate from all damage done to it. One end will respond to stimuli from the other without the delay that would be expected due to its length. At certain areas along 2952's length, small openings will form along its sides at regularly scheduled intervals. These locations are designated instances of -1. While there are 324 known instances of -1, some are located in major cities, others in suburban or rural areas. The formation of these holes does not seem to harm or adversely affect 2952. When these openings appear, humanoid beings will exit 2952. These entities designated are -2 are on an average 3 centimeters high and cannot be viewed directly. They must be photographed or filmed through physical evidence of their presence, such as shadows or footprints, can be observed. After the first group exits, a second group of -2 will appear and enter into the same opening. The opening will then seal until the next scheduled event. The same instance of 29 of -2 can be seen entering at one location, departing at another. Openings on the dexterous sides of 2952 take passengers west, while those on the sinistrous side will take passengers east. The average documented speed of... I turned my volume off, you stupid fucking phone. Sorry. I did not mean to yell. Alright, anyways. Average documented speed of 2952 appears to be 120 kilometers per hour, not accounting for stops at -1 instances. The burying of many of the -1 instances stopped -2 from entering or exiting 2952. 3 days after all -1 instances are buried, Project Director Stevens disappeared from his apartment, with an adult European mole left in his place. Over the next 3 weeks, 17 of the construction workers responsible for burying -1 instances woke to find the walls of their houses had been replaced by a mixture of poison ivy and death cat mushrooms. After 2 months, researcher Mills, who had been in charge of testing the regenerative properties of 2952, woke up with poisonous nightshade berries in his mouth and stakes of hawthorn driven through his hands and feet. The anomalous events were theorized to be the work of the -2 population. In response, a plan to appease -2 was devised through information collated. Alright. Collated from relevant myths, leading to the current protocol for unburying and monitoring instances of -1, implemented December 9th, 2016. 2 weeks later, the mole disappeared from its containment area and was replaced with Director Stevens, and the poison ivy and mushrooms disappeared from the homes of the construction workers. Researchers Mills' wounds were not healed. It is theorized that this was retaliation by instances of -2 for injuring 2952 in the course of studying its abilities. Security footage showed that during the retrieval and detaining of civilians who saw 2952, there were instances of -2 following the Foundation agents observing their actions closely. On January 5th, 2017, 2952 became visually imperceptible to all humans not under the Foundation's employ in an identical manner to that of -2. In addition, instances of -2 are now visible to Foundation employees, though not to civilians. As such, 2952 has now been reclassified as safe. Addendum. On January 9th, 2017, Dr. Stevens had a note left on his desk by a starling, which flew out of a window before it could be caught. The text of the note, translated from Welsh, is as follows. Thank you for your prompt response to computer complaints and wonderful customer service. As such, we have... wait, what?
Commuter, not
Damn
computer.
it! So far through the article, I didn't have a single mess up.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It's okay.
Right. Thank you for your prompt response to commuter complaint. God damn it. Complaints, and wonderful customer service. As such, we have granted all members of your organization complimentary transportation on our Corgi system. Please send a sparrow to the council of the city office nearest to you if you have further questions. G. Foxglove, Director of Transportation. The Council of the Twelfth Tag.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to help you on that one.
I'm supposed to be this the 12th leg.
Yeah, the 12th leg. Council of the 12th leg.
But in
How
their
many links does
language.
it? Never mind.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
In another language. Okay. So, right, if you scroll up just slightly,
Oh, right. It's from Welsh. Never mind.
the text of the note translated from what other language?
Shut up. Alright. Okay, we don't have much left of the SCP. Alright. Agent Davies' ride on 2952 can be found under Exploration Log 2952 Alpha. Oh, does someone want to read for Agent Davies?
Uh,
Do you want to, Hatchet, or?
oh no, I guess.
Alright. Opening information. Agent Davies entered 2952 at the closest -1 to the head and was directed to depart at the next -1 instances where a transport team was waiting for her. All materials inside 2952 were written in Welsh, and -2 instances also spoke only Welsh. Agent Elizabeth Davies was selected for the mission in part due to her fluency in Welsh. Log begins at 10:28.
Oh no. Oh no, there's only one semi-decent girl voice I have.
Yes!
Agent Davies is secretly Agent Karen.
Agent Davies touches 2952 and immediately
You can
begins
do it. You
decreasing in
can do it
size.
without being Karen. Do
Yep.
it.
Alright. Go ahead, Hatchet.
What was that, Jerry?
You can do it. You can do it without being Karen. You can do it.
But my best voice, my best feminine, pseudo-feminine voice is Cindy. I guess
I
Valley
believe in
Girl's
you.
the proper term, but whatever. Anyway, what on earth? Okay. Shrinkage seems proportional. Well, let's hope it's proportional for my sake. None of the typical detrimental side effects you see with other SCPs that cause shrinkage. And noting that end height appears to be 3.2 centimeters tall. Control, can you still hear me?
We can hear you perfectly, Agent.
All right then. Tech isn't affected by the shift either. Good to know. Doors should open at 10:35, yeah?
That's correct. Agent Davies waits which time 6 instances of -2 join her. A male instance of -2 approaches her. Referred to as instance 2A in a log for brevity. Oh, Jerry can have a spot. You can be instance 2A.
Is this
All right.
is this gonna turn into a Fey guy hitting on hitting on a doctor from
Maybe.
the
I'll try to
Foundation?
make him sound as sleazy as possible.
Okay.
You are declared to engage in conversation if needed, Agent Davies. Agent Davies does not respond verbally, but discreetly makes a thumbs up gesture in view of the body camera.
Hope this thing isn't late again. I tried to make it to the Glade in time for midnight at the Celsius. Missed it by 6 minutes. All the ingredients for a harvest bane incantation gone to seed.
Do you know why it's been late?
Some kind internal blockage. Poor thing's got kidney stones, I hear.
So sequence scans revealed the presence of 2 moderately sized kidney stones near the New Delhi -1 instance. The Foundation is currently holding service at that stop for a week to allow for surgery and recovery. The openings along 252 side appear at 1041 and 9 instances of -2 exit. Agent Davies enters 2952, whereby all communication with Mission Control cuts off. The interior of 2952 looks similar to a subway car. The walls, ceiling, and floor appear to be constructed of birch bark wrapped around thin twigs. The walls are lined with seats, which are cushioned with a variety of flower petals. Many of the seats are in disrepair. There are 42 instances of -2 aboard the car, filling around 2/3 of the available seats. Agent Davies takes a seat across from instance 2A. The doors close and the car begins to move. A slightly distorted voice begins to speak with no discernible source. Now departing from 3 Portlands. Next stop, West Coast Rainforest. There's no instance of -1 located in 3 Portlands, but the stop where Agent Davies boarded is on only 5 kilometers away from the entrance to 3 Portlands. Okay, 3 Portlands is also a group of interest, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Agent Davies observes her surroundings. Posted on the upper walls are advertisements for an organic oak moss tincture.
Tincture, yeah.
A religious organization practicing a variant of paganism. A horror movie featuring 2323 entitled Strike of the Shrike? What?
Strike of the Shrike.
Of the Shrike.
In the premiere of the new children's cartoon featuring 2952 called The Global Adventures of the Great Grady. Also visible are the various forms of graffiti, including multiple messages such as
That's a type of fae.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
But
something
that's still
else.
Kind of racist.
What?
That's still kind of racist against brownies.
There's just casual interfae racism
Yeah.
in the subway car.
Yeah.
These people suck. Go back to your cleanse.
It's not a bad word to say a type of fae's name.
Sorry.
It says brownies suck. Go back to your glens. It's casual racism against brownies. They're called brownies. Did you know brownies you eat are named after brownies because they were originally created for treats for the brownie fae?
Ow. Neat. Yeah. In an image resembling 2547, an instance of -2 further down the car begins playing Lady Greensleeves on a flute loudly and off-key. What's to be unknown?
Shut the hell up, will you?
A baby begins crying. Another instance of -2 throws a thorn at the flutist, who promptly ceases playing. After some time, an elderly female instance of -2, designated as instance 2B, approaches Agent Davies while holding a scroll. Jerry, you want to do 2B?
Yeah.
Since he did
Yeah.
2A?
Excuse me, dear. Would you mind signing this petition? It's attempting to revoke the new no allowed on board. So unfair. Just a signature, my dear. That's all I need. Not even a true name.
Oh, right. I'm Davies. Bleh. Apologies, miss, but I'm not a citizen.
I see. Very well. Would you mind if I sit?
Not at all.
Instance 2B takes a seat next to Agent Davies and begins knitting using 2 thorns as needles. At the far end of the car, a male instance of -2 takes out a package wrapped in leaves and unwraps it, revealing a mushroom of unknown species. The instance begins now consuming a mushroom based on the facial expression of other passengers. The mushroom is quite pungent in odor. Instance 2B leans over to Agent Davies.
Now, if they were going to ban something truly unpleasant.
Now approaching West Coast Rainforest. Agent Davies stands. When the car stops, she exits along the instance 2A, 2B, and 12 others. Agent Davies approaches 2952 and pats his side.
Goodbye.
Agent Davies is returned to normal size. Communication resumes. She crouches over the departing crowd, spots instance 2B, and waves farewell before departing for the transport vehicle. So
This
far,
one was just wholesome.
yeah, so far the Fae haven't done anything bad at all.
Yeah,
Man, I was expecting to voice a pervert and said it was just a normal guy.
yeah, it's just a normal guy complaining about train delays.
And it sounds like he hinted what the was.
Corgi delays.
Come fix the dog.
Corgi delays.
Alright, the next one, if I remember, this is Taboo.
Well, I mean, at this point, do we need to read anymore? Like, we
I guess
already
so.
came into this knowing that the fairies were just an entire people group.
Yeah, also,
Yeah, they need to go into the people group.
yeah, before we continue, what I do remember from Taboo, the only time that the Fae didn't necessarily an evil thing was if you said your own name, they would take your name and go to your world.
Technically, they would also leave you in a horrible state, but...
Right. But it's
they only took your name, nothing else. No, they stole your body, their face, everything of your existence, and left with it, leaving you trapped, confused, memoryless, and... yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, they're
like-
pretty kind to you when you're in that dimension.
Like,
They
that's
were literally kind to you specifically to get
Yeah.
you your things down so you would give them what they wanted. That's not nice. That's trickery.
but yeah, like in terms of like the broad numbers of beings.
Yeah, I just put them in there.
As we all know, one cannot wholly judge the entire breadth of humanity's morality based on Donald Trump or Elon Musk.
Oh my god.
Or the graffiti inside the Corgi subway.
There's some Fae that are racist or fascist. I don't know. Brownstist?
They're racist. Technically, there's different races of Fae. Brownies
Okay,
are
yeah,
their
fair
own thing.
Yeah.